Now it's time to talk about whatever the cartoon community talk about do this time. And today is from Logan, who posted a very interesting thing. He posted this show's only ran for 2 seasons. After that, it got canceled. This is you're supposed to call it a starter pack because the very end, all 4 picks he posted only lasted 2 seasons, aka the starter pack. But to be fair, this is the reason why shows do get canceled automatically. In fact, a lot of people had complained down below, like, yeah, what's the point? Why even bother? Because usually they don't get 2 seasons. Now they get 1 season. Even someone posted more detailed explanation and more kind of obvious. Like there's one he says, uh, after Gravity Falls, 2 seasons you get canceled, and that's sort of regular, like Disney Plus, or sometimes you Star Wars, or sometimes not even David Zaslav. It just got canceled. Some people only post different little things like that. Like they give more different kind of examples, like Looney Tunes show, Scooby Doo, Mystery Corporate, Glitch Tech, Mr. Spider Man, but all basically have this sort of bitter taste in their mouths. But at the same time, it's for a reason. It's not because of wokeness. If you put that on your first answer, you're completely wrong. It's for a reason why shows only last 2 seasons, not because of politics. Well, more specifically, business politics, because you have to know the business to understand why they chose to cancel a show that is super successful, but some reason they choose to pull out. And I'm going to explain this sort of example of this specific 4 post, and also 1 or 2 examples in the community down below of this sort of post, sort of showing some different shows they like, explaining why they got canceled, and have a better idea why this sort of happened. Before I do, my name is Rachel. I like to talk about animation, not just animation reviews, first impressions, cartoon theories, and sometimes, if I have some spare time, cartoon breaking news. Of course, you like how it's going, like to help my channel, put a like, comment, and subscribe. That's the only thing you need to do. If not, that's fine. If you do, thank you. Because of you, I'm getting close to my main goal of 2,000 subscribers. And yes, I'm getting close every single day because of people like you. People who like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you. Now let's start with the conversation why every show starts with a starter pack. Now, let's break this down. I think the first one would be the most interesting one we should talk about. It's basically Mungo and Devon Dinosaur. That one, it was sort of pushed to the limit to be popular, especially the media, especially Marvel that have some expectations, especially how expensive this actually project really is. You just see one episode, you see the other shows and compare one episode each, just the first episode, you automatically tell, yeah, this thing was very expensive. Of course, some of you do point out probably it's because how political it is. I have to remind you, Static Shock and the X-Men, doesn't matter which version of it, all of them were very political. It's the reason why they actually became so relevant, because it hit that sort of mainstream perfectly. They understand how people feel, and yet those two properties are still very popular. Is that Mungo and Devil Dinosaur is had a lot of reasons why. One, it was too hyped up. Two, you have a C-lister character that people have mixed feelings of, because at the very end she is sort of a gag character than anything else. And third is the fact it one of those that actually decide to sell toys before after season 2. They have sort of a regulation on entertainment, specifically animation, specific for family animation, that they sell toys, because at the very end they make their money back just selling toys, and or this case merch. But the only problem is the show must be successful. I'm guessing a lot of business people thought would be super successful because it was Marvel. On top of this, you do have very famous celebrities pushing the show, but it never really landed. Not because of terrible writing, it's the fact I'm 100% sure it was too much expectation. On top of all this, they were actually pushing the bar a lot, and in my opinion, or at least what I heard, 80% of it was well executed, 20% was sort of off, but yet they were trying their best, and they basically 80 or 85% succeeding. But the only problem is it was just too expensive. That's it. Wasn't enough viewership to actually confirm this is completely worth it. And that's of the reason it got canceled. Some of you saying, well, it's not because they put a trans character in the show. Yes, but that is more political kind of reasons. Because at the very end, you are pushing it, especially a family animation project. But at the very end, they just banned the episode. That's only thing they need to do, and they when the time is right, they could put it back in. That's it. But it's not that just that. It's so little things because no one want to cancel a project that is doing good, not amazing, but you don't know what if the episode would actually blow up. It's a gamble because animation doesn't matter who you go, how political, they have to make sure you have to run all of it because at the very end it's under contract and it looks wrong in the IRS. You remove an episode and you try to return your money back, except for the government, and the government looks at you. You did not give this a chance. The contract didn't end. What's up with this? You're trying to scam us or something? And that's sort of the idea of Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. Is that you have so many factors you don't know it was the political thing, it was a popular thing, or that it was just too hype up. It didn't leave the right impression of people how was sort of hype up, especially the media. Because just looking up Devil Dinosaur and Moon Girl, a lot of articles were basically hyping this show up. The only problem is they didn't really read Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur because everything they said was incorrect and also kind of correct. It was sort of lying half of the time, and that self give a lot of bad taste on your own mouth after you watch the series. Like I was expecting something different, not this, and that's all what actually happened. It's all the different directions allowed the show its own downfall. Of course, I'm not saying the show was amazing. I'm not saying the show was bad. I think the show was decent enough. Wasn't for me. Yeah, I think it was good, but it was not for me. That's the party the major take on this now. So you can tell you can choose whatever section where you feel Devil Dinosaur and Murgo failed. It's up to your opinion afterwards. That's mine. Now let's talk about the next one that is also kind of interesting is Ghost and Money McGee because Ghost and Money McGee and the reason why that one got canceled is because people lost interest because what they did on the season two. Season two, Marty fell in love with the next door neighbor, was basically ghost hunters, and nobody really want them to be shipped together or dating together, and that'll leave a lot of people bad taste in their mouth and decide to drop that specific season because of that. That's the only reason why it kind of failed because they didn't like the direction what the show was going. And that's it. I mean, that's pretty normal. This one just self-destructed because they made maybe one bad choice. To me, I did enjoy Marty McGee because it was fun, interesting. I didn't like not all the choices. There are some choices of the storytelling was I don't feel was rushed onwards. To be honest with you, and I don't know it's because their own decision or what. I just didn't like one side character, and that's basically it. I didn't hate it. I did enjoy it, but if the main audience didn't want to see a character ship with another person, you have to be at least self-aware. This is the reason why a lot of shows, when they decide to make two characters date, they kind of double check the fact. They don't ask them. They just see how many people watch for the show for what specific reason, and they only watch it for one specific reason for their own ship. This is the reason why they hold it back. Like when they actually date a character, usually it's the very end in the series. After season three, okay, let them date together. If the show canceled, that's good because we finished the whole story. And that's usually the angle. This is the reason why you see a lot of shows play with the audience expectation of who is going to end up with who. And that's it. This is sort of the trick a lot of writers do. That's why they're so scared to make characters fall in love with each other because they're afraid it will be sort of a backlash. And that's That's basically true. It usually there's a reason why they choose to avoid it all possible cost to the very end. Now let's talk about the next sort of reason why the other show got canceled. Now Nickelodeon, the show they have it on this post, is sort of obvious by itself. Like they have SpongeBob and the La House. Why even bother? That's the words you constantly hear every time Nickelodeon posts a new cartoon. Those the words you hear constantly. In fact, you even hear it from me every time they have a new show. Sometimes I hope this is not happening with a new show from Nickelodeon. Sometimes it was a good show, but it never get the audience because they don't want the numbers they actually want. What could ways have that specific problem, but two, well, three. One, because of that. The second is a ripoff of Gravity Falls. This is Nickelodeon reaction of the popularities of Gravity Falls. But the only problem is it was not as well handled they actually wish. 100% sure maybe it wasn't the creator because sometimes it's the creator wants something, but the hard ones want something else. The show you pitch him like, okay, I will work with this. What do you want me to change with this project? Because you kind of have to. But you can see obvious they were trying too hard, and the writing was sometimes a little babyish. Like you watch some episodes and you will actually notice this. And I think that's one of the biggest reason give a lot of people kind of not want to see the series because you notice on the writing, you notice in the commercials, and you feel they was started trying too hard. It became exactly like a knockoff. But the only problem is the show was actually decent. It had so much potential, the setup, the execution, but the writing did not help. On top of this, the top of your behind your own head, on top of your mind, always come out saying, "Why even bother?" They have SpongeBob and the La House. Like you can't really beat that. Like it's sort of hard. Everything was against this to actually fail, especially Nickelodeon has the obvious to cancel after 2 seasons, sometimes for no apparent reason because they don't really believe in it, even that the ones who pushed the show. And that's sort of the problem of this sort of political sort of business of animation. They just jumped on the hype train, but not really realizing or understanding why they was popular to begin with. They let the people, they don't hold people's hand the situation. They let you show you and let your own interpretation to actually grab it. And that's sort of the downfall of Welcome to Wayne's. Wasn't a bad show. It's something that I don't fully recommend, but I recommend watch 1 or 2 episodes if you like what's going, if you understand some of the flaws, you maybe enjoy it and watch the full 2 seasons, but it's something that I be aware is not perfect now. Now let's talk about the fourth example right here, the reboot example, the Looney Tunes University. Now, reboots are so difficult to pull off because they really have a fan base set up. And because of this, this can easily 80% fail because it's sort of hard to please the fans because there have been other reboots like Thundercats the anime a reboot that was really good. The fans really love it, but nobody watch. He-Man the animated version was really good. Once again, nobody watched. Even the fans, hardcore fans, love those two shows. Nobody really watched it, and this is the reason why a lot of creatives or a lot of studios do a reboot, but trying to get new blood because in the very end, it's the kids who buy the merch because they're the one who buy the toys. I mean, the adults do buy the toys; they are useful. They are the ones who give free promotions, but it's sort of a very difficult balancing act because at the very end, you don't know what the fans react or not react. Especially you have a lot of drifters saying, "Oh, this is a bad show. Look at the art." Even that the drifters know nothing about the business of animation. They have tried so much to please the old fans, but you do please the fans, the young fans, the new bloods who will join to watch the series. don't get it or don't care or doesn't really understand what's going on and just drop it. And that's what they really try to first focus on the new generation, trying to get them to get it. In the same time, tweak it here enough to feel like the original, but not just sort of a way to balance both. You can't play both. You have to lead a little bit one or the other. Even that how many people complain, oh, they ruin every time they do a reboot. Once again, what is sort of the point of reboots? Getting new blood in the franchise, and they have to do sort of things, even if sort of controversial, to grab the other young bloods to join the series. It's sort of obvious. This is the reason why I never get fully mad. Only if you feel it's really, really terrible. Something like Thundercats War, that was really bad because you're trying to please both new bloods who joined the series and also old ones, but at the very end, you wasn't pleasing no one. That's you have the reason you have to choose one side and just sprinkle enough to maybe the old fans will be at least semi satisfied, and that's the only thing you can do. Now, Looney Tunes University, one of the biggest problems with that one is the fact they changed one of the biggest formulas in the series, Bass Bunny and Buster Bunny being related, and they changed the chemistry completely because the original is just two co-workers and they point out they are just friends. They maybe have feelings, but usually it's not the focus. They have very fun little moments that they go on the prom, they ask her out, or not just as friends, maybe, we don't know. And that's sort of the chemistry that sort of poke the other character back and forth what they're actually feeling, but it's more the focus on their personality, their relationship, how it becomes really good friends. Not just them, it's the whole cast. But at the same time, the original Tiny Toons was super experimental. It's something that I don't think you can actually reboot that one because it's just so throwing things to the wall. Because you watch Pacific seasons, each season change completely different direction. Sometimes they don't do school, they just do normal kind of part-time job for the kids, or if not, sometimes something personal from them. But it depends which season, and they do drop a lot of ideas of the whole thing. They never mention going to school ever again on the final season. And that's what I mean. It's just super experimental what works for the comedy. And this one really wanted to go the school life, but that's the problem. That's the reason why they dropped the original. They dropped the idea of being in school. It just doesn't work for them. And that's the thing. They try different things, trying to be truthful, but at the very end, the original was never truthful. And I think there's a reason why it didn't work, especially the relationship of the two main leads, Buster Bunny and Bass Bunny. It just, the chemistry was not there. And that's the problem. Now, all of that, that's basically the reason. I mean, there have some people did enjoy it, but it's obvious they did struggle what to do with it because it's just so experimental. And that's all it really is. Other shows can be rebooted, like the Turtles, but you have a formula they don't truly mess with that much. They tweak different events, different things to have different results, but at the same time, they attempted to get the closest similarity of the original formula. And this one they tried to, but they tweaked it so many different things. It just sort of fall apart. And I think that's the reason why people love it or hate it. It's up to you. But the reason why it got cancelled is no one really interested. I'm 100% sure they do get a young generation watching it, but it wasn't enough. It's something that something was missing, did not was effective in other words. And that's basically that's it. It's the biggest challenge is will reboot. Now you can see why each different one kind of fails. Like I think the biggest one is the one the examples down below one the comics they show Yonder over Wonder. That show was really good, but the only problem is it didn't make sense to make a third season for the business perspective. It was just what's the whole point? It was have good ratings. You easy get a third season, but the hurry up believe it, nah, it wasn't worth it. It was a good fun show. It just they didn't see the possibility. It was just too much time consuming, so they got canceled. Even that they have good viewership wasn't amazing, but good enough to have a third season, and just didn't make a business sense afterwards. And that's a good example. Another one is Glitch Tech. I think Glitch Tech is probably the most perfect explanation when I mean get screwed by business politics. Because at the very end, Nickelodeon greenlit a glitch text project that basically is Ghostbusters with using video games. But the only problem is Nickelodeon was sort of changing different people, and the people who were believed of this project want to put it on Nickelodeon left, and the new generation who took charge didn't believe it, and also they didn't want to deal with a downfall. The only get rid of it is the new deal with Netflix. And if you give to Netflix, if it fails, it's not their problem because they actually sort of finished the agreement they have with Nickelodeon. Of course, Netflix being Netflix, they are well known. If the IP is not theirs, it was someone else. They were trying not to put in that much or even give it a third season because it's not theirs. Even that Glitch Tech was actually getting good numbers, they will obviously will never get a third season. It's just sort of a way to cancel a show to not let the IRS look at them wondering why you do that with that specific project. You want refund all the money you spent from us, and this is a reason not to deal with the IRS. They decide to dump it with someone else, and they decide to cancel it. They don't need to ask any questions. They're like, all right, cool, let's move on. And that's how you deal with removing a show or canceling a show while dealing with the IRS. I think another good example is another one from Cartoon Network was called Semi Titan, something with a Gendy project that basically aliens who go to Earth and they have kaiju battles downwards. That would have got canceled because toy sales. That's it. Gendy about to finish the project, and he just could not sell the toys, or not trying to sell the toys. Is the fact the people who make the toys didn't know how to make them toy-ish. They didn't know how to sell them for a younger generation, and this also did not help because Gendy doing the project, the harder I asked him, so how many seasons you think you can do this series? And Gendy responded, I'm done. I mean, I only have one more season, and that's it. And the network did not like that. So decided, why even bother? We cannot make toys. The creator is not making another season. Let's stop here. And this is the reason why that show of Gendy got canceled after 2 seasons. I could go on. There's still so many other shows like that. Sometimes it's not even political. I think the real adventures of Johnny Quest is a different political reason why that show got canceled. I think that has 3 seasons, but that one got canceled not because of political. It's a fact the creator and the distributor, I think, or someone who runs Toonami, basically butt heads. Nobody knows what was the disagreement, but they have just a bad taste in their mouth. They decided, you know what, screw it. Even you have good ratings, they canceled that show. And the real adventure of Johnny Quest was legitimately really good. There's another one is Spectacular Spider-Man. That one is beloved in the Spider-Man community, but it got canceled because contracts with Disney bought basically Marvel. The rights was, I think, was Fox or someone, but they have this sort of weird way of writing of the contract that need to cancel because technically would own with a different company, not by Disney. To get rid of this sort of problem, Disney decided just to cancel it because we want Marvel, our site right now. Don't waste your time. We're not going to do extra money, extra detail, extra man hours to do for a show that is semi-popular. At least compared to Disney nowadays. And this is the reason why shows get canceled because political issues, like not enough money, which is too expensive, did not make toys, or you did not have the right people looking in the show. It had a lot of different directions. Sometimes not political, it's something completely of pocket outwards, but this is the things what actually happened. Hopefully, I open a lot of people's eyes why show do can cancel. Sometimes not because of David Zaslav. Well, David Zaslav is usually the best example. Is they just didn't believe it, or they just don't think they'll make the money back for it. They decided just to cancel because they did not believe the project would be successful, and that's it. Like, this is the reason why it doesn't matter how much money you do. The very end is how well in the future would do in business, or maybe the people won't believe it, etc. You could go on and on. That could give more different examples if I wanted to. But at the very end, hopefully this sort of open your eyes why shows do get canceled because of dozen different reasons. All of that I can't say much. In fact, tell me what the show got canceled and the reason why your show got canceled. Tell me down below. Let me know. I got nothing else to say. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and have a wonderful day. Bye.